What up, gang? This KenZerk, KenZillion, Zekamillion, the villain from the Trillion, and we are back on Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Last episode, we did the investigation for the second trial, and we have a new murder suspect. And we learned a lot about some motives that a few of these people involved in the case could have. So, what did you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in two different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how did it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects, the police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Sky, huh? We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You don't understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt, isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Okay. Let's do this shit. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain in both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. It is possible that they killed him in the evidence room and then shoved him in his car as he left. Cause I think somebody in the higher ups of the police is guilty of this shit, or they had a hand in helping this shit go down. So they could be faking evidence. One of my duties as prosecutor is present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In doing so, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be admirable? Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For the first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Ooh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. I don't want to voice this nigga. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir! I'm Officer Mike Meekin, sir! My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir! So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir! I'm the one who did it! I'll never kill anyone again, sir! You gotta believe me, sir! Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is... Sir, I'm what you would call part of a younger generation, sir! A person whose actions adults cannot possibly comprehend. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, help, sir. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me, sir. Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I'm part of a generation. I must be told what to do, sir. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Crime report, sir. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life, then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you. Do unto others before they do unto you. That's what the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. Not a contradiction, yeah. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes, now there's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which means many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir. The lovely police mascot created by the chief of detectives, sir. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transfer process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around. Then I relocated Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then your ID number's to be listed on here, right? There it is, I found it. It's this one right here. Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir. It's 4989596. That's my number, sir. I see. Huh. But the number 4989596 is being shown as used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time was when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And the second time was when I went to get him after everything settled down. I see, so it was during that second time when... Yes, sir. That's when I spotted the man on the security screen. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us what happened to you? It was a knife, sir, a knife. Detective Goodman pulled the knife on you. What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You weren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be. When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by the collar. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really getting a kung fu film, sir. The man let his guard down for an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife. I spun her around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of blood, and then the next thing I knew, yes, he punched me right in my face, sir. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. All right. According to the report, the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying to the pain. That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir. The Blue Badger, sir. I returned to the engine before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gantt delivered it to me this morning. The chief delivered it. What is that? Videotape. Yes, sir. It's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room.
Objection!
What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told that it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm good at, sir. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the videotape of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? That's creepy as hell. All right. We're not gonna see shit. Okay. Not very helpful, is it? Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that's the pride and joy of the entire criminal affairs department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised it's been going smoothly? Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone in the evidence room. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that all right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir! As you wish, sir! His face can be seen clearly in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened a locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker, equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have had to have been Detective Goodman. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this will lead, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Tell me, were you able to get a good look at him? At the face of the man who attacked you with a knife? Sir, if you must label people as being seen or not seeing the man's face, I believe it will be classified as the latter? The latter. You were standing right in front of him, were you not? More to the point, you were the person who fought him, aren't you? Oh, yes, sir. I didn't get a clear look at his face, sir. I'm not the kind of guy who looks directly at people when talking to them, you see? Yeah, that's a good trait for an officer. Still, I'm sure I would set my badge on it. But you don't know that for sure, do you? You never actually saw his face. Well, I suppose you might say that. That is, if you have to label people as being seen or not seen. Since his face can't be identified in the video, only you can verify it. Why is everyone looking at me? If I had to label your stares as disturbing or... Meekins. Having been shown a questionable video at best, we are not in the best of moods. Please be more certain when you testify. Yes, sir. You claim the man who brandished a knife on you was Bruce Goodman. Tell us why. About these lockers, is there no other way to open them? No, sir. I myself tried all kinds of methods in the past. They only respond to registered fingerprints, sir. I wonder what methods he tried. If the man opened the locker's lock, which only responds to its registered fingerprints, then he must be the person the locker was assigned to. Exactly my point, sir. And this too. Locker's question, okay. How do you know that? I've heard rumors, sir, from people I know, sir. People in the know. The workers in the department cafeteria, sir, to keep me informed. They also listen to my romantic trouble, sir. For the record, the open locker did indeed belong to Detective Goodman. I verified this information through a more reliable source. So the victim opened his own locker with his own fingerprint. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video, the man's face. Sir, if I may say something, sir. Please do, after all, you're the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wright, let's check the court record again. Is there a problem? Why is Detective Goodman's light on to his locker? And there's already blood on his coat. And then he's just disappeared now. There's a lot of problems. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there's one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange. This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction. Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth. I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. Very well, proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video. First time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy become a cop? What is this contradiction? The thing that's strange about this video has to be this. Officer Meekins. Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint if it's a match. The light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. I'm not doing this shit. They're not about to do this shit. I'm gonna blow my fucking head off. So something's wrong with this picture? I fucking hate this song. This is gonna drive me insane. Here, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Oh, it's gone, thank God. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Order, what's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know, it must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor will detect and report any malfunction. Oh well, goes to show novices should shut the fuck up. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor. Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor. It probably just wasn't closed all the way. You feel me? Like, think of a door. The lock on the door isn't gonna work if you just keep the door cracked, right? It's probably the same shit. An automatic lock isn't gonna lock if you crack the door. Just leave it open a little bit. The door was probably just cracked. Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the system sensor? Something jammed the sensor. Oh shit, the glove! There's something else in that video that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too! There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. Please watch closely. This is a continuation of the part I showed you earlier. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when the door's open. Objection! We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted. Y'all are gonna keep showing me this damn video. Okay. I gotta sit through this whole shit. Alright. Fucking hate y'all. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand, sir. Just like my time. 2 out of 3 times I get stuck in the door when I try to get out of the patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, fuck. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene, it just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator do you mean? Think I finally got this figured out. Very well, would the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator? Clearly a glove. I found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure this was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker, but that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so, sir. Order, order, order! So we are to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman. Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir! Me, sir! I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well, begin your testimony. One other thing that proved the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his ID card. An ID record? An ID card record, huh? I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 514 is that of the victims. Just before the crime, huh? Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too. There are only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. I want to say, we found Goodman's ID at the prosecutor's office, so it shouldn't have been there. So I want to go on and I'm going to see if that works. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report. It's only half completed, but it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe there's something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but it's a high possibility. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order. So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in this evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is, well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago, you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. So they're gonna end well. Well, it seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So, the real crime could only take place in one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Sky, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness. Observe the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose was to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else Lana. What do I do? How am I supposed to get out of this? One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security footage did not show the actual murder. However, it cannot be said that it's unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for the incident. This might just be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean? Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone who we reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name? Take that! Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around all around while on duty. And to top it off, you called me here. I've seen half of your people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay, so have you brought what I asked? Oh! You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident. But Lana, I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. Can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. Miss Sky, what's a witness? Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I busted your subject's going to ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that? That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dart killings. The Joe Dart killings? No, Lana. That's over with. No. Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth, not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't just be a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. Better take a good look at this file. I'm about sick of you, bitch. Just fucking tell me. Should be annoying. She thinks she fucking Kyoko Kirigiri. Talking about you have everything you need to figure it out, Makoto. Like, bitch, you already figured it out! Tell me! The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind. I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone worker. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room was protected by 2 security systems anyway. And I remember, right? I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time to hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute, what do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? It's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got the weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them. Videos or nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase the tape, it felt like I was erasing part of my life. This guy's a flair for the dramatic. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, can't say I do. I haven't been in the crypt in weeks. You gotta avoid being fired. That's a straight fucking lie. You used to be a detective, so you'd use the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course, back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism. Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bite worked. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe says something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing? What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. And not even Angel steak lunches can beat the parlor's Van Gogh sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, did you not want to race this year? Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner, or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, it's just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from everyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, I'd better up the ante. Okay, what do I have that can go against what he says? Okay, perpetrator Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentence death. Victims: Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rochelle Moss, Neil Marshall, probably related to Sheriff. Head prosecutor was Edgeworth. Witnesses were Lana and Emma Sky. Investigation Task Force: Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Head investigator Bruce Goodman. Investigators Jake and Angel Starr. It says I'm not supposed to. They're saying I'm not supposed to use the trump card yet, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. Yeah, okay. They lied. They lied. I was supposed to use the trump card. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this. After all, you weren't in a security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is. Make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints will be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your bloodstained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away, however. The luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall, about the bloodstained fingerprints. Very well, you may begin your testimony. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just so happened to be in the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know that the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. That's the thing though. What he's not understanding is that we're not trying to pin the murder on him. We're trying to pin him. This is what I think. We're not trying to claim that he's the killer. We're trying to claim that he was the one who posed as Goodman. The witness explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may cross-examine the witness. He's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective, the locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine, it's no mystery. My locker's covered in my fingerprints, and it just so happened. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated. They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with a breakfast while the other's got a type of murder. He's right, although seemingly alike, they are totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. How did you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, and thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found in Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? The sea of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, sir, Your Honor. Continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. What do you mean by that? You want to time into this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots, places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, can you show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present? Indicates that he was present. Am I overthinking it, or does it start tweaking out? Like when he gets on there, or am I overthinking it? Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us the incriminating evidence. I was wondering about that earlier, but I didn't feel like actually checking it, because I was like, it's whatever. But I done peeped. See, it's closed. Nothing there. Open it. Still closed. Like, look. You know, they fighting and shit. Still closed, you know? Damn, he's fucking slumped and shit. Wow, what's that right there? Bringing our attention back to the security camera. Is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. Fault, nigga. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now let's rewind the video a bit. All right, you can rewind it a bit faster than this. Oh my goodness. Oh, that white cloth is gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order! It would seem that's the only. Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? He might be on the stupid side. This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. Should I tell him? I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah, I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Take that. A fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can be only opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are some people on the force who don't even know about fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say? In 8 words or less, bitch! I only got 1 word for your partner. No! Order, order, order! Witness, explain yourself! If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay! Officer. Olay! Please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can. Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. It's only one possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall during the time? Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in this video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed a detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out though, Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. Enter the evidence room, I asked her to show the card. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly put the knife on me. Something about Officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. We've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your cooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, fuck am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems like you couldn't take the desert heat. Can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you with some... Fuck. I missed it. I'll pass on to you what someone passed on to me. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might have been discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that. He opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps a video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well, let's take another look at the security tape. You can do that. I'm going to be taking a piss. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put the white cloth. Can it be this? For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. And when asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. All right, seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins cut his own hand. My guess is that he's the donor. It was way too much blood to be for such a small donation. I had to do it that day. When you say it, you mean, do you even have to ask, partner? I saw 9. 2 years have passed since the case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident is not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When the case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine. Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much? That day was my last chance, that's why Why didn't you disguise yourself? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card. I stole that the morning of the incident. But that really was why Goodman started filling out the lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could have because the rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened that locker before Officer Marshall. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him out. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... So you did your research beforehand. Those who would go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all that gone to plan, no footage would have been left behind. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day, but the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where's that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Of course your broke ass would say that. Like I said, this isn't your case, this one's mine. And I'd do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident, you know why? But that case was solved years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is that he deserved a sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something that went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think is his real reason. I had a feeling he'd wind up here. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. Better take another look at the files. Obviously, I'm assuming it's the case files, but there might be something else, so let's just check. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. Think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much Katniss juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. And a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? Must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Now I remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed, and the case fell into your hands. But what is his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant. That's the deputy chief of police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Joe Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it. That's your reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekus confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze me. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance, it's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason that offense was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained a mystery of a simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of Miss Angel Starr is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Ah! I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake, but I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for this verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant Emma. Fucking hell. Your Honor, wait! Emma. The defense has an objection, a scientific objection. Right. What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor. All I'm asking for is a minute of your time. Please, hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute, I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out that the SO9 incident referred to the Joe Dart killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both the Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. Did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. Then why the fuck were you right here? Why did you? And I'm just an attorney, don't get my fucking hopes up. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I've ever needed to concentrate, it's right now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? There's something I'm missing. I'm thinking that the issue with this handprint is that it was made by a glove, but the bloody handprint, there's no fingerprints because the person was obviously wearing a glove. But if you pay attention, that couldn't have been Marshall because he didn't wear a glove. And there's only one glove in there. There was only one glove there. If you remember, one glove fell out of there. So that means that at some point, somebody must have taken a glove, did something that involved the blood, and left that handprint. So I object. Objection! This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of this blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. swear on my Yeezys, if it's the Blue Badger panel. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, the mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in here. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint on this spot at the locker. What? So that means, what exactly does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you trying to say? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on the locker. So that means that it was after he took it back. After the Blue Badger was left it before the Blue Badger was brought in, or after he left it, or after they brought it out. Just one moment, I will not allow such a far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on the tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed on the security cape has been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then let us... When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edwards said, proof must be presented. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? It's gotta be the glove, right? There was only one glove remaining. And that's why it was jammed into Officer Goodman's locker so haphazardly. This is the proof! It's quite simple, you see. If it's simple, then don't get it wrong. Huh? If was an acceptable excuse, I wouldn't need police. Before the Blue Badger. When was the Blue Badger brought there anyway? Don't we have a bunch of chart listing a bunch of times for... Oh, shit. I'm so stupid. Yeah, that would be the proper evidence. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Clearly, whoever came in before Meekins, or at least someone who came in before Meekins, had to have been the one to kill him. But that's gonna put Edgeworth in suspicion. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card reader. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40. Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. No, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. It would have had to been 10 minutes to. It would have had just 10 minutes to. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. All 7. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card, at least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number all 7 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who is so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous, just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and forgeries? That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not to you, to her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana. Don't be stupid, she's charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number and it's not all 7. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SO9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized that we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say yes, you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order, order, order! Lana's remark caused a stir. Something, the trial would have to wait until the following day. That's the end of the episode, guys. If y'all enjoyed, like, subscribe, leave a comment, I read them all, tap into the next one. Immediately after this, we're gonna get into the final day. I need to see how this shit ends. I need to see how this shit goes, bruh. But that's the end of the episode. Peace out. I love y'all. Tap in.